What happens when Hollywood royalty meets daytime television royalty? And it all goes catastrophically wrong. In just 31 seconds, a single comment would turn a friendly chat show appearance into television history's most shocking meltdown, leaving one of the most beloved hosts in America stunned and one guest's reputation in absolute ruins. Jennifer Hudson sat behind her desk that Tuesday morning, her warm smile lighting up Studio B as the cameras rolled for what was supposed to be another feel-good episode of her hit daytime show. The Oscar-winning singer-turned-talk show host had built her reputation on creating a safe space where celebrities could share their stories, their struggles, and their triumphs with audiences across the nation. "We're back with my next guest," Jennifer announced, her voice carrying that signature warmth that had made her show a favorite among viewers. "She's joining us today to talk about her new projects and her life journey. Please welcome Meghan Markle." The applause was polite but enthusiastic as Meghan walked onto the set wearing an expensive cream-colored blazer and matching trousers. Her smile seemed practiced, almost mechanical, as she waved to the studio audience before settling into the plush chair across from Jennifer's desk. "Thank you for having me," Meghan said, smoothing down her outfit as she crossed her legs. "I'm excited to be here." Jennifer leaned forward slightly, her natural interviewing instincts kicking in. "It's wonderful to have you. I have to say, you look absolutely stunning today. That outfit is gorgeous." "Thank you," Meghan replied, though her tone suggested she expected the compliment. "It's custom-made, of course. I don't really do off-the-rack anymore." The first hint of tension appeared in Jennifer's eyes, but her professional smile never wavered. "Of course. So tell me, what brings you here today? What's next for you?" Meghan adjusted herself in the chair, adopting what appeared to be a more serious expression. "Well, Jennifer, I'm working on several projects that I think will really change how people see the world. Important work, you know. Not everyone understands the responsibility that comes with having a platform like mine." Jennifer nodded politely. "That sounds fascinating. Can you tell us more about these projects?" "It's about authenticity," Meghan continued, her voice taking on a lecturing tone. "Too many people in this industry are fake, putting on shows for the cameras. I've always been committed to being real, to showing people what genuine looks like." The studio audience remained quiet, sensing something in the air that felt different from Jennifer's usual warm interviews. Jennifer herself maintained her professional composure, though viewers at home might have noticed the slight tightening around her eyes. "That's admirable," Jennifer said carefully. "Authenticity is definitely important in this business. Speaking of your projects, I understand you're working on something new in the media space?" Meghan's posture straightened, and for the first time, genuine excitement seemed to enter her voice. "Yes, it's revolutionary, really. We're creating content that actually matters, not like most of the superficial entertainment that floods the market these days." Jennifer's smile became slightly more strained. "I see. And by superficial entertainment, you mean—" "Oh, Meghan waved her hand dismissively. "The typical talk show format, celebrity gossip, shallow conversations about nothing important. People are hungry for substance, for real conversations about real issues." The tension in the studio became palpable. Jennifer's professional mask slipped just slightly, revealing a flash of something sharper underneath. "I think many talk show hosts, myself included, try to create meaningful conversations with our guests." Meghan seemed oblivious to the shift in atmosphere. "Sure, some try, but let's be honest. Most daytime television is just fluff designed to keep housewives entertained while they fold laundry. That's not the kind of impact I want to have." A murmur rippled through the studio audience. Jennifer's grip on her note cards tightened almost imperceptibly. "That's an interesting perspective, though I'd argue that connecting with people, regardless of what they're doing while they watch, has its own value." "I suppose," Meghan conceded with a shrug that suggested she didn't really believe it. "But when you have the opportunity to reach millions of people, shouldn't you be using that platform to educate them about things that actually matter? Social justice, inequality, real-world problems?" Jennifer's voice remained steady, but there was a new edge to it. "I think entertainment and education can coexist. Sometimes making people smile or helping them through difficult times is just as valuable as tackling heavy subjects." Meghan leaned back in her chair, a condescending smile playing at her lips. "That's a very simplistic way to look at it, Jennifer, but I understand that not everyone operates at the same level of social consciousness." The studio fell completely silent. Even the camera operators seemed to freeze, sensing they were witnessing something unprecedented. Jennifer Hudson, known for her grace under pressure and her ability to handle difficult guests with warmth and professionalism, sat perfectly still for what felt like an eternity. "I'm sorry," Jennifer said slowly, her voice taking on a tone that regular viewers had never heard before. "Did you just suggest that I don't operate at the same level of social consciousness as you?" Meghan seemed genuinely surprised by the question, as if she couldn't understand why Jennifer would take issue with her comment. "I didn't mean it as an insult. It's just that some people are naturally more aware of the bigger picture, you know? More tuned in to what really matters in the world." The audience was so quiet you could hear the hum of the studio lights. Jennifer's producer, visible in the wings, looked like he was ready to call for a commercial break. But Jennifer held up a subtle hand gesture that told him to wait. "Help me understand something," Jennifer said, her voice deceptively calm. "You're sitting on my show, which I built from the ground up, talking to an audience that tunes in every day because they trust me to bring them honest conversations with interesting people. And you're telling me that what I do doesn't matter?" Meghan's smile faltered slightly, but she pressed on. "I think you're misunderstanding me. I'm not saying your show doesn't matter. I'm saying it could matter more. You have this incredible platform, Jennifer. You could be using it to really change the world instead of just entertaining people." "Instead of just entertaining people," Jennifer repeated, her tone flat. "You mean instead of bringing joy to mothers who are struggling to get through their day? Instead of giving people a break from their problems? Instead of celebrating achievements and sharing stories that inspire others?" "Well, when you put it like that, it sounds nice," Meghan said, her condescending tone growing more pronounced. "But nice isn't enough anymore, is it? We're living in serious times. People need to be challenged, not coddled." Jennifer leaned forward, her eyes never leaving Meghan's face. "Tell me about your background in television production. How many shows have you created? How many episodes have you produced? How many audiences have you built from scratch?" Meghan shifted uncomfortably in her seat. "I don't think the number of shows someone has produced determines their understanding of media's responsibility to society." "You're right," Jennifer agreed. "But experience does give you insight into what actually connects with people, what actually helps them, what actually makes a difference in their daily lives." The studio audience was completely captivated, watching what felt like a masterclass in professional dignity under attack. Jennifer's voice remained controlled, but there was steel underneath the silk. Meghan seemed to sense she was losing ground but doubled down anyway. "Look, Jennifer, I respect what you've accomplished. But surely you can see that there's a difference between what you do here and the kind of meaningful content that actually shapes public discourse." "Meaningful content?" Jennifer repeated slowly. "Like what exactly? Give me an example of this revolutionary content you're creating that's so much more important than connecting with real people about real experiences." "We're developing a series that explores systemic issues," Meghan said vaguely. "Deep dives into problems that mainstream media won't touch." "Such as?" The question hung in the air. Meghan opened and closed her mouth several times, clearly struggling to provide specifics. "Well, it's still in development, but the concept is to elevate the conversation beyond surface-level entertainment." Jennifer nodded slowly. "I see. So you're here promoting a concept for a show that doesn't exist yet, while criticizing the show that does exist and is currently providing you with a platform to promote your non-existent show." The logic of it seemed to hit Meghan for the first time, and her confident facade cracked slightly. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here, of course." "Are you?" Jennifer asked quietly. "Because for the last 10 minutes, you've done nothing but explain how what I do is beneath you and your level of consciousness." Meghan's face flushed slightly. "I never said it was beneath me. I said there were different levels of impact, different approaches to using media responsibly, and you're on the higher level, while I'm down here just making fluff for housewives folding laundry," Jennifer said, her voice still unnaturally calm. "Did I understand that correctly?" "You're twisting my words," Meghan protested, but her voice lacked conviction. Jennifer smiled, but it wasn't her usual warm smile. It was something sharper, more dangerous. "Am I? Because I'm pretty sure everyone in this studio heard exactly what you said." The audience murmured in agreement, and Meghan seemed to realize for the first time that the room was not on her side. Her eyes darted around the studio as if looking for an escape route. "I think there's been a misunderstanding," Meghan said, her voice higher than before. "I came here to have a friendly conversation about my work, and somehow we've gotten off track." "No misunderstanding," Jennifer replied evenly. "You came here and immediately started explaining how superior your approach to media is compared to mine, how your consciousness operates at a higher level than mine, How what I do is superficial fluff while what you're planning to do someday is revolutionary and important. Meghan's face had gone from flushed to pale, her earlier confidence completely evaporated. Jennifer, I think you're being unfair. I was simply trying to discuss the different ways people can use their platforms. By dismissing mine as meaningless, Jennifer said, her voice still controlled but with an unmistakable edge. By suggesting that entertaining people, bringing them joy, helping them through difficult times, is somehow less valuable than your theoretical future projects. The studio audience was completely silent, hanging on every word. Even the crew members had stopped moving, transfixed by what was unfolding before them. Meghan tried to regain her composure, straightening her shoulders. I think you're taking this too personally. This isn't about you specifically, it's about the industry as a whole. The industry that gave me this platform, Jennifer said quietly. The industry that allowed a girl from Chicago to build something meaningful. The industry that connects me with millions of people every single day who trust me enough to invite me into their homes. Of course, and that's wonderful, Meghan said, her voice taking on a patronizing tone that made several audience members visibly cringe. But surely you can acknowledge that there's room for growth, room for evolution in how we use these platforms. Jennifer leaned back in her chair, studying Meghan with the same intensity a scientist might study a particularly interesting specimen. Tell me something, Meghan. When you decided to come on my show today, what did you think was going to happen? The question seemed to catch Meghan off guard. I thought we would have a nice conversation about my projects and my perspective on media. Your perspective, Jennifer repeated, which apparently is that everything I've built, everything I do every single day is superficial fluff for bored housewives. That's not what I said, Meghan protested weakly. Those were your exact words, Jennifer replied calmly. Would you like me to have my producer play back the tape? Meghan's eyes widened slightly, and she shook her head quickly. No, that's not necessary. I think maybe my words came out wrong. Did they? Jennifer asked. Or did they come out exactly as you meant them, and you're just now realizing how they sound when reflected back to you? The silence stretched between them, thick and uncomfortable. Meghan fidgeted with her jewelry, clearly struggling to find a way to recover from the hole she had dug herself into. I respect what you do, Jennifer, Meghan finally said, her voice smaller than before. I really do. But it's not as important as what you do, Jennifer finished for her. Not as conscious, not as meaningful, not as revolutionary. I never used those words, Meghan said defensively. You used consciousness, Jennifer pointed out. You said not everyone operates at the same level of social consciousness as you do. You said my show was fluff. You said daytime television was designed to entertain housewives while they fold laundry. You said your work would be revolutionary compared to the superficial entertainment that floods the market. Should I continue? With each point, Meghan seemed to shrink further into her chair. The audience was completely captivated, watching a masterful demonstration of someone being held accountable for their own words. I think maybe we should move on to something else, Meghan suggested desperately. Jennifer smiled, and this time it was genuinely warm, but in a way that was somehow more terrifying than her earlier coldness. Oh, but I'm fascinated by your perspective. You came here to educate me about the responsibility that comes with having a platform. Please, continue. I'm learning so much about consciousness and authenticity. Meghan's mouth opened and closed several times, but no sound came out. She looked like she wanted to disappear into the upholstery of her chair. Cat got your tongue? Jennifer asked gently. That's unusual. You seemed so eager to share your wisdom just a few minutes ago. I think I should go, Meghan said quietly, starting to rise from her chair. Sit down, Jennifer said, her voice soft but carrying absolute authority. You wanted to have this conversation. You wanted to explain to me and to my audience how I should be using my platform more responsibly. Don't leave now when it's just getting interesting. Meghan slowly sank back into her chair, looking trapped and miserable. You know what I think? Jennifer continued, her voice conversational now, almost friendly. I think you came here expecting me to be so grateful for your presence that I would just nod along while you explained how much better you are than me, how much more important your work is than mine, how much higher your consciousness operates than mine. That's not true, Meghan whispered. But there was no fight left in her voice. Isn't it? Jennifer asked. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you thought you could come onto my show, insult everything I've worked for, dismiss my audience as mindless housewives, and I would just smile and thank you for the enlightenment. The studio was so quiet that the sound of Meghan's shallow breathing was audible. Jennifer sat back in her chair, completely in control, completely composed, while her guest fell apart in real time. here's what's going to happen, Jennifer said calmly. You're going to gather what's left of your dignity, you're going to thank my audience for their time, and you're going to leave my stage. And maybe, just maybe, you'll think twice before you decide to lecture someone else about consciousness and authenticity. Meghan sat frozen for a moment, then slowly stood up. Her face was red, her hands were shaking slightly, and her earlier arrogance had been completely replaced by humiliation. Thank you for having me, she mumbled to the audience, not meeting anyone's eyes. As she walked toward the exit, Jennifer called after her. Meghan? Meghan stopped and turned back, hope flickering briefly in her eyes that maybe Jennifer was going to salvage something from this disaster. Good luck with that revolutionary content, Jennifer said with a smile that was somehow both kind and devastating. I'm sure it will be exactly as meaningful as you are. The studio erupted in applause as Meghan hurried off the stage, leaving Jennifer Hudson sitting calmly behind her desk, having just delivered one of the most elegant and thorough takedowns in television history without ever raising her voice or losing her composure.